thing you need to do is you need to go to aplusstudents.com. You need to go to the website. Once you are on the website, you need to select math as your subject. This is a lesson for math. This is a grade 7 lesson. Sorry, I'll just rewrite this. This is a grade 7 lesson, and the name of the topic is data and graph. The chapter number is, I'll give you the chapter number and the lesson number. The chapter number is 23 and the lesson number is 4. So we are doing chapter number 23, lesson number 4, and the name of the chapter is create and interpret line plots. We are doing line plots today, but with fractions. So let's go to grade 7 maths, chapter number 23 and lesson number 4. Okay. So the first question given to us is, we did line plots earlier. So we would be using line plots to solve the questions. Okay. So the question number 1 that is given to us, it says, use the corrected line plot to answer the following. Okay. Okay, just a moment, please. Okay. If this statement is given this, and let me make another copy of this. Okay, rather than fraction, if I would write, what is the number? Is the number of candles took. Okay. So what's given to us over here is a line plot is given to us, which shows the length of the time it took for candles to burn, right? So 2 hours were taken by 1 candle, 2.5 were taken by none, 3 hours were taken by 2 candles, 4 were taken by 2 candles, and 5 hours were taken by 1 candle. So if I would do part B first, this is part A and part B. What is the number of candles which took more than 2 but less than 4 hours to burn, right? So more than 2 means we cannot include 2. That means 2 is not included, right? So we would take values which are greater than 2 and the values which are less than 4. Okay, less than 4, agreed? So we cannot take the values which are 4 or greater than 4. So how many candles were there? There were simply 2 candles, right? Which took more than 2, but less than 4 hours. So we can say there are 2 candles. Agreed? But the original question was, what fraction of the candles took more than 2 and but less than 4 hours to burn? We know that there were 2 candles. There were total 2 candles which took more than 2 hours but less than 4 hours, right? Upon the total, how many total candles are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That means 2 upon 6, or 1/3 of the candles took more than 2 hours. And I'm so sorry. Okay. So 1/3 of the candles. 1 minute, please. Why are my channels not active? Just a moment, please. Yeah, it's active. So, Ethan, can you hear me now? I just put the mouthpiece away. So we changed the question into two segments over here. In the first segment of the question, we said we needed to find the number of candles. We needed to find the number of candles, okay, which took more than 2 and less than 4. That means there were 2 candles, right? But when we talk about the term fraction, okay, we need to find the fraction of the candles. We knew that there were 2 candles which took more than 2 but less than 4 hours. What is the total? The total was 6 candles. So if we need to give the fraction, we focus on the term fraction. If we need to give the number of candles, then we give the number of candles, right? Okay. Moving ahead. Okay, let's move ahead to the next one. Okay, let's do another question. The next question we have says, use the corrected line plot to answer the following question. Okay. This be question number 2. Sorry, what is happening today? Let this be our question number 2. And what they are saying is, the line plot shows us information about the amount of perfume and the weight in ounces. Okay. They are asking us how much perfume was there altogether in all. So we don't have to give the fraction over here, right? So can we count the ounces? We can say a perfume with 2 ounces, there was one perfume. One perfume with 2 ounces, right? Plus, there were 2 perfumes which weighed 3 ounces. 2 perfumes that weighed 3 ounces plus 1 perfume that weighed 3.5 ounces. 3 perfumes. There were 3 perfumes which weighed 4 ounces. There was one more perfume that weighed 4.25, 4 upon 4, and there was another perfume that weighed 4.75. This would be the total weight of the perfumes, right? Or the total quantity of the perfumes. 1 multiplied by 2 is 2. 2 quantity of 3 ounces would be 6 ounces. 3.5 plus 12 plus 4.25 plus 4.75. When we add these numbers together, 2 plus 6 is 8, 8 plus 12 is 20, plus 3.5 is 23.5, plus 4.25, that is 27.75, plus 4.75. So it comes out to be 32.5 ounces. We need to give the answer in fractions. That means 0.5 can be written as half, right? 0.5 ounces half, so it changes into a fraction. Agreed? That means there were 32.5 ounces of perfume altogether. Do we agree on this? Because the questions are in fractions, so we need to give our answers in fractions, okay? Okay. What they are saying is, in question number 3, this information is given to us. And they are saying to draw the line plot, to complete or draw. Okay. During an art lesson on shading, Mr. Hensley's students placed blue, green, or purple, right, paint onto some palettes. Mr. Hensley then added different amounts of white paint. White paint was added. He recorded how much white paint he added to each palette. Okay, this is the white paint added to the palettes. Hi, Michael. So what we need to do is we need to complete. Okay, this. So can we say that we have? I'll just copy the sketch they have given to us. Let's see if this was the line graph given to us, right? And let's see if we need to complete it by the number values of x. So 1.5, 1.5, there was one palette, 1.5, one palette for 1, there was one palette for 2 tablespoons, 1.5, another palette, 2, another palette, 1, another palette, 1.5, now total 3 palettes, and 1, another palette, right? So this is our answer. What we did was the given information in the table, we draw the line plot. Line plot is the number of repetitions we would show by the cross on the line plot. Let's see if we have a question from this. Okay, we do not have any question. We just needed to complete the line plot for this question. Okay. Okay, let's see in the next part of the question what they're asking. Oh yes, they did a question to this, and the question says, in question number 3, the continuation of the question says, use the corrected line plot. This is the corrected line plot, right? What we need to do is we need to find these number of palettes, right? What fraction of the palettes had been used more than 1 tablespoon of white paint? 1 minute. Okay, let's do this question from this given information. This is our part A. What fraction? They're asking about what fraction. So we need to count the total number of tablespoons. That there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, right? What fraction of pallets had more than 1 tablespoon? It had more than 1 means it cannot include 1, but it can have the values more than 1. That would be 1.5, 2, and so on, which had more than 1 but less than 2. That means it cannot be 2 or greater than 2. So what is the number between 1 and 2? That is only 1.5, right? 1 whole 1 upon 5. So how many pallets were there? In 1.5, one whole 1.5, there were total of 3 pallets. And what is the total number of pallets? That was 8. So there were 3 out of the 8 pallets which used more than 1 tablespoon but less than 2 tablespoons, because they're asking the term fractions. Okay, do we agree on this, Ethan? Ethan, do we agree? Okay, so we can say this comes out to be 3 upon 8. Okay, this is equals to 3 upon 8. Let's look at the next one. What they are saying is, if you combine all the white paints, okay, let's see. For the next given question, they're saying if you combine, will you have in total? Okay. So this is our continuation of the question, and they're saying if you combine all the white paint from the palette with exactly 1.5 tablespoons, right, of white paint, how much white paint will you have altogether? So how many tablespoons were there for 1 and 1.5? For 1 whole and 1.5, there were 3 tablespoons, right? So we can say 3 spoons, right? Or they were used 3 times. They were used 3 times, and how many tablespoons was that? 1 whole 1/2. That means 3 is multiplied by 1.5. That means it gives us 4.5. And 4.5 can also be written as 4 whole, where 0.5 can be written as 1/2, right? That means the total, since 1.5 tablespoons were used 3 times, because there are 3 X markings in the column of 1.5, we can say 1.5 when multiplied by 3, that means a total becomes 4.5 tablespoons when we are looking at in the category of 1.5. Okay, do we agree? Thank you. Moving ahead, let's see if we have another question. Okay, for the same question, they are saying what was the total amount of white paint Mr. Hensley added, okay, to the palettes? So we have part C. Okay, another part to this question. It says, what was the total amount added by Mr. Hensley? Okay, if we say this is a continuation, this is part C for the same question. So what should be the answer? Can we say that we add all the tablespoons? See, for the given question that was given to us, we had the diagram that said this was, I'm just recopying the diagram so that we can use it for question part C. If this was the given information, right? So 1 tablespoon was used these many times, right? So 1 tablespoon was used 3 times, plus 1.5, 1 whole 1/2. That means 1.5 tablespoons were used 3 times. Agreed? Plus 2 tablespoons were used twice. So 1 multiplied by 3 is 3, plus, with this we already found out, 4.5 in the part B, plus 2 plus 2 is 4. When we add them together, that becomes 4 plus 4 is 8, 8 plus 3 is 11, and 11.5. That means a total of 11.5, or 11 whole 1/2 tablespoons of white. Agreed? So Mr. Hensley used this many. So a single diagram can be used for multiple questions, okay? So I'll just mark each question separately. Okay, this and this. And this was the third part for a given question, okay? So let's move ahead to our next question, where we would create the line graph and then we'll see, okay? So our question number 4 states that, let me just copy the question number 4. Wilson always looked forward to meeting his family, and they're asking us to complete or draw the line plot for question number 4. So if this is the given question in question number 4, what they're saying is Wilson always looked forward to his family camping trips. They hike, roast marshmallows, cook dinner, sleep in tents, right? These are the things they're doing. Wilson started recording how much propane fuel, how much burning cooking fuel they needed, right? So for breakfast, they used 1 can, lunch, they did not, dinner, half, and so on, right? So we have the diagram given to it. Let's complete this. Okay. So let's say if the given diagram was something like this, and we just need to put the values of x to complete this. Okay. Let's say this was given to us. This shows the number of cans that were used. This was 0, half, and 1. Let's plot with x and see how many cans. 1 can, right? We put a x. Lunch 0. Lunch was 0. We put 1x at 0. 1 half. We put 1 marking. Another 0. We put 1 marking. 1 half. We put another 1 can. And 2 markings for 0, right? So this is our complete. Okay. Maybe what we are doing is we are taking the information from the grid and we are drawing a line plot. Line plot means the number of times it's repeated. 1 was repeated 1, we make 1x on the grid. 1 was repeated second time, we made 2 crosses on it, 1, right? Similarly, half was used twice, we put 2 crosses. And 0 cans were used 4 times, so we simply put 4x over there. So now let's see from the given information what we can do, okay? How we can create questions out of it, okay? Okay. They are asking us, during what fraction of meal they used more than 0. I'll just copy it on the screen. Okay. Sorry. If this is given to us, let's realign this so that it's readable for us. Of the meals, fractions of the meals, they use more than 0, less than 1 cans of propane fuel. Sorry. Okay. So I'll just rephrase this. This is our first part of the question that says, during what fraction, they want the fraction to be the answer. Of the meals, did they use more than 0 cans, but less than 1 can? More than 0 and less than 1 means only half is there, right? That means they used 2 cans. And how many were the total cans? 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. Agreed? And this can be simplified to 1 upon 4. Agreed? So when we... Okay. So what we can say is that the number of cans which had Ethan. So what we can say is more than 0 cans but less than 1 can was, there were only 2 cans which were half used, right? So 2 out of 8 were used, which can be simplified to a fraction that is 1 upon 4. Okay. 2 upon 8 can be simplified to 1 upon 4. Let's see what else we can do for this question. If you combine all the propane fuel from the meals they used, exactly 0 cans. Okay. Okay. The second part of the question says, just a moment. This is the second part of the question that says, if you combine all the propane fuel from the means that when they use exactly 0 cans, that means they are using 0 cans, right? So there were 4 meals. It says there were 4 meals which did not use any propane gas, right? Agreed. That means none of the cans were used. Okay. So how much will you have in all? How much propane gas was used? That was, say, 0 liters or 0 cans, right? Because they are using a condition where none of the cans were used. Exactly 0 cans, right? If 4 meals, lunch 1, breakfast 2, breakfast 3, and lunch 3, these 4 meals did not use any gas. That means the total amount of gas used in these 4 meals would be 0 cans, right? Because there were 4 meals into 0 cans. That comes out to be 0 cans of gas, right? That means 0 cans of gas were used for these 4 meals. Okay. Moving ahead with the same question, it says, how much propane gas fuel did they use altogether? If we need to find how much gas was consumed altogether, they use in all, right? Let's see. This is our question number, part C. Ethan, how much propane fuel did they use in all together? As per the given diagram, we can say 4 cans, 4 times 0 cans were used, right? Plus twice half a can was used, plus twice 1 complete can was used, right? That means 4 into 0 is 0. 2 into half is 1. We can cancel out the 2's. We are left with 1 can, 1 complete can, plus 2 multiplied 1 would be 2. Agreed? So the total number of cans used would be 3 cans of fuel. Agreed? Because for all these meals, for these 8 meals, there were 2 meals that used half a can. There were 2 meals which used a complete can of fuel, right? But there were 4 meals also Yes, thank you so much, Ethan. That's perfectly correct. 3 cans was the total usage of fuel. Okay, let's see if they have more. No, they do not have more parts for this question. So I'll just put it together. Okay, I'll just close it over here. Let's move on to question number 5. And let's see what they're asking us in the next question. In question number 5, what they're asking us is the judge at a cake contest. Okay, note how many sugar. They are taking an account of how much sugar was used to make a cake. For question number 5. This is our question number 5. Okay, I'll just change the size of the data. Okay, if this is the information given to us, this was the number of cups that were used of the amount of sugar. What we need to do is we need to complete the line plot. So 1.5 cup was used one time, 2 cups was used one time, 1.5 cup again, 2 cups, and 1 cup was used twice, right? So this is our complete line plot. Okay, so we completed the line plot. Now let's see what can be done with this question. Okay, what are the further requirements? So what they are saying is how many recipes required these many cups. Okay, so they are saying how many recipes required exact or no, not more than 2 cups. How many recipes required no more than 2 cups of sugar. This is the first part of the question. They're saying how many recipes required no more than 2 cups. That means the maximum amount of sugar cups that can be used are 2, right? The maximum number of cups can be used is 2. So what should be the total? Michael, what how many recipes required no more than 2 cups of sugar? We count the total number of recipes, right? Is 1 cup was used by 2 recipes. 1.5 cup was used by 2 recipes. And 2 were used by 2 recipes, right? That means there was total 6 recipes which use not more than 2 cups. Okay, the total number of recipes over here would be 2 because they are not using more than 2, but they can use 2. Agreed? Okay. How many cups contain more than 1 but less than 2 cups of sugar? For the next part of the question, it says, Michael, what is the answer for this? Part B. It's okay, Michael. Can you give me the answer? How many recipes contain more than 1 cup? More than 1 cup means they cannot include 1 cup, right? 1 cup cannot be included. They need to take the values which are greater than 1 cup. It has to be more than 1 cup, but less than 2 cups. That means it cannot be greater than 2 or equals to 2. So how many recipes required? These many? That means greater than 1, the number could be 1.5 or 2. But less than 2 means it could be 1.5 and 1. So the common area, the common number is 1.5. Do we agree? So how many cups recipes were there? How many recipes were there which used 2 cups? No. 1.5 cup was used by, this is the number of recipes, right? There were total 6 recipes, right? So out of these 6 recipes, this cannot be used, right? Why? Because it is 1 over here. We cannot use more than 1. We cannot use this part because this is 2. That would be greater than 2, right? We need to find less than 2 and more than 1. That means there is only one possibility, which had how many recipes? It had 2 cake recipes, right? So there were 2 cake recipes which only used 1.5 cups. Let's suppose, yes, okay. So for 1.5, there are 2 recipes because we made two crosses on it, right? Because there were 2 values of 1.5 over here. Okay. In the total, there are 6 cakes. 2 of the cakes used 1 cup of sugar. 2 of the cakes used 1.5 cup of sugar. And the last 2 cakes used 2 cups of sugar. So we are making this line plot that is showing us how much sugar is being used for each cake, right? So there will be only 2 cakes which use more than 1 but less than 2 cups. Thank you, Michael. So the next question says, what fraction of the recipe requires more than 1 cup but less than 2 cups? Now they're using a new term that says fraction. In part B, they did not use the word fraction anymore. They were just asking the number of, right? So in fraction, what we need to do is we need to consider the total also. If this was part C, it says fraction. And we were trying to find more than 1 cup, less than 2 cups. It came out to be 2. Out of the total, how many total were there? There were total 6 recipes, which can be written as 1 upon 3. So 1/3 of the entire set of cakes used how much? More than 1 and less than 2 cups of, because there were 2 out of 6. That means 1 upon 3, 1/3 of the cakes. Okay. Moving ahead to the next. Okay. After this, let's try some. Okay. Let's try a question or two from the test. Okay. Let's try some questions from the test. The first question from the test says, okay, I think we just did a similar question. This is question number 1 from the test. Question number 1. This is the test. Use the corrected line plot to answer the question below. Right answer, fractional mixed numbers or whole numbers. Okay. And they are asking us what fraction of the recipes require. I think we just did this question. Okay. More than 1 and less than 2 cups. What do we mean by that? More than 1 would be this value and less than 2 would be this value, right? So that means how many cups used more than 1 and less than 2? Ethan? What should be the answer? 1/3 of the recipes or 1/4 of the recipes? Ethan? See, if you're looking at more than one, right? That means it cannot include one. It has to have more sugar than one, right? But if you are looking at less than two, that means it cannot have two, it should have less than two. Yes, thank you so much, Ethan. How 1 upon 4? Let's see. You gave 1 upon 4 as the answer, right? So total recipes were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? The total number of recipes were 6. Out of the 6, we need to find the fraction, right? So fraction means out of the 6 recipes, how many recipes used? Please confirm your answer, Ethan. There were only 2 recipes. That means 1/3. Okay? No, Michael and Ethan, it's 1/3. Why? Because there are total 6 recipes, and out of the 6 recipes, only 2 recipes were using 1.5 cups, right? So that means if we need to find the fraction, that means 2 upon the total. That was 6. And 2 upon 6 reduces to 1 upon 3. Do we agree? Michael and Ethan, do we agree? Okay, let's see for the next question. Okay, a line plot is given. No problem, it's okay. For question number 2, from the test, they say that line plots are given to us. This is our question number 2, and we are given 2 options. Okay, we would need to find which line plot is the correct option. If we have 2 line plots given to us, I'll just highlight this as option A and option B. So which line plot is the correct line plot? A or B? So it says, see, when this information is given to us, what we need to do is we need to compare. 1.5 was once, over here it's once, right? Then it was 2, it's once, 2 is once, 1.5 again. We are trying to put it on either of these graphs. 2 was again, that means there are 2 of 2's, 2 of 1.5, and there are 2 of 1's, right? So which is incorrect? Yes, thank you. Thank you, Millie. Option A is the correct answer. Okay, this would be incorrect. Okay, option A is correct. Let's see another question. So this is again the color palettes. Okay, let's do this quickly. We have done a similar question. We will just try to do the next. So question number 3 says, this is our question number 3, and it says, during an art lesson, these were the colors that were mixed together, and which graph shows the amount of white paint? Okay, let's say if these were the given to us, out of these 2, which will show us the correct value of the paint? Would it be option number A or option number B? Millie, what about the next one? Michael, which option should be correct? See, we count. 1.5 is 1 time, 1.5 2 times, 1.5 3 times, right? We look at 1.5, it's 3 times on both of them. That means we cannot compare 1.5. Let's see at 1 time, 2 times, and 3 times. 1 is 1 time, twice, and thrice. 1 is 2 times only, right? So that means this should be correct. That is incorrect. Yes, thank you, Millie. Option number A is the correct answer. Okay. Please do complete the remaining questions. They have just 20 questions over here. Just clicking on the correct, look at the values and find the correct answer. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Best of luck. Take care. Bye.